here I am, having to risk a crit to avoid losing in the hardest battle of the game. Let's see how I got to this spot. This is Pokemon Ancestral X, a modified version of Pokemon X made by Axyn. The game takes the vintage white approach of giving Pokemon pretty wild type, base stat, and moveset changes that make Pokemon way more viable and interesting to use. This pairs well with the game's increased encounter variety, as all Pokemon from generations 1 through 6 are available. Not only that, but this game is ridiculously challenging, with key trainers like gym leaders and team floor members all having carefully crafted teams meant to strike fear in the hearts of even the best trainers. All of this made me very excited to play Ancestral X as a Hardcore Nuzlocke, with the rules for this challenge in the description box below. What is up with it? I'm Dahong, and this is the story of how I beat the hardest Generation 6 Nuzlocke. I begin my journey by meeting with some friends to pick my starter, so let's talk about what each one provides. Chespin is the one most players say is the best, as Chestnut gets Mold Breaker and is really good for Grant, one of the hardest battles in the early game. Fennekin isn't as good early on, but Delphox has access to Magic Bounce and Magic Guard, and with infinite ability capsules, this Firefox has a lot of diversity with how you can use it. Froakie is a fast water type, which this game has a pretty good number of, but Greninja and his signature Protean ability, Loki, is a force to be reckoned with. I decided to go with the people's favorite Water Frog, because I thought that Protean would make things really fun. Spoiler alert, by the way, I'm 100% right. So you should do the same thing as me. Don't listen to those other guys. I make my way to Santaloon City, where I pick up some encounters on the way, including Larvesta in the Santaloon Forest and Barbush on Route 3. Volcarona has Flashfire and Shield Dust in this game, which is insane as if Volcarona needed more buffs. And the Barbush line has access to Mold Breaker, which is obviously a really good ability in its own right. Here you are witnessing the first death of the run, which was due to me not knowing that Dunsparce was also incredibly buffed to be a ground fairy type with better stats. It was at this point I realized if I wanted to beat this game, I was going to have to read the documentation thoroughly. But these are just a few of the many examples of Axyn buffing Pokemon to make them good, allowing me to use Pokemon I normally wouldn't under any circumstance. Additionally, this game also has several traits, and because you can trade any Pokemon for those, you are basically able to dump a mid-mon if you whip on an encounter. So I trade away my Cherubi for a Numel. Now it's time to battle Viola, the first gym leader and the biggest gatekeeper of the early game. Her team has a lot of Pokemon that can be tough to deal with, but I came up with a plan to combat her team of strong bug types. Speaking of bugs, it bugs me that most of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. Therefore, I ask that you please subscribe to me. If you enjoy Nuzlocke content, or Pokemon content in general, I think you'll like what my channel has to offer, as I intend to put out more content like this, as well as other Pokemon related videos. Thank you very much. Now back to the Viola battle. I first lead with Frogadier to two-shot her Dwebble, causing Surskit to switch in next. Swablu is able to use Peck to take out the Surskit, as it can tank 2 of its bubble beams. Swadloon comes out, and I first switch to Barbush to bait out a Razor Leaf, then switch to Spinarak, which sets up Sticky Web. Go back to Barbush to bait Razor Leaf again onto my Larvesta, who one-shots Swadloon with a powerful Fire-type move. Viola now sends out her own Larvesta, which I beat using my Barboach. Joltik switches in and wants to Mega Drain here, so I go to Swablu to bait out Electro Web and pivot to Numel to get rid of the Occaberry, and then use Larvesta to finish it off. Finally, it's Vivillon, her ace, which I'm able to beat using Double Flame Charge, and then Frogadier cleans it up, earning me my first Kalos Gym Badge. Next up, we have the notoriously long Grant Split, filled with a lot of chances for new Pokemon. On my way, I meet Professor Sycamore in Lumio City, who gives me a Hoenn starter instead of a Kanto starter in this game. Unfortunately, Axyn nerfed Sceptile in this patch, as Mega Sceptile lost Technician in favor for Sniper. Blaziken gets Speed Boost like its hidden ability, and can also have Sheer Force, which is useful in some situations. Swampert has Water Absorb or Sheer Force, which are both incredible abilities for it. Like with my first Pokemon in this game, I go Water here because Swampert is not only a good mon in general, but it's a great option for the Elite Four due to its typing and ability. After this, we run into Tierno, who presents us with quite a challenging battle, especially at this point of the game. In fact, Axyn even nerfed this one a couple times. Anyway, he leads with Flafby, and I use Numel to pop its air balloon, and then Marshtomp cleans it up. Hawlucha switches in, which I beat by using Protect on its jump kick twice, causing it to kill itself. Krokorok is next, and that falls to Swablu. Barbush beats Fletchinder, Ariados takes down Crawdont, and Frogadier cleans up Girafarig. Following that battle, I get an Elekid, whose line is electric fighting and can have Iron Fist as an ability, which can be very good with access to the elemental punches, Mach Punch, among other boosted moves. On the way to Parfum Palace, we say goodbye to our good friend the analytic Ariados, which I didn't feel too bad about because I thought I was going to get an even better bug poison type and Whirlipede from the bushes here. Instead, I get a Chikorita, the worst starter Pokemon of all time. But hey, at least it's a fairy type with better special attack and moves in this game. This is also my first grass type of the run, so missing out on Scolipede wasn't really too bad. And it ended up not mattering shortly after, because after I catch the Snorlax on Route 7, I get a Leddyba into Berry Fields. Before you go and accuse me of taking two Pokemon on the same route, in this game, Axyn made it such that Berry Fields is separate from Route 7, thus allowing me to get a Pokemon from the berry tree. I chose Leddyba because the line gets insanely buffed attack and access to Aerolate, which pairs really well with moves like Comet Punch and Quick Attack. Ledian also learns Encore and U-Turn, two of the best moves in Nuzlocks. We continue forward and have our first encounter with Team Flare in the Glittering Cave. It's worth mentioning that all Team Flare members, including the Grunts, have much stronger teams than other trainers you battle, as their Pokemon hold items and have better moves. This is true for the Ace trainers in this game too, and obviously gym leaders and rival battles. The most notable example is this guy here. Unlike other Grunts, he has a name in this game, referred to as Frankie. You battle him multiple times throughout the game, and his team gets stronger each instance. This time, he's pretty easy, so we'll talk about his team sometime later. At last, we have arrived in Silage City, ready to take on the second gym. Grant is said to be one of the hardest battles in the first half of the game, with his team having a lot of heavy hitters as well as Pokemon who are tanky. Something that makes this battle easier, however, is that Axyn lowered the evolution level for starter Pokemon to be 32, which is the level cap for this gym. I'll have you guess which Pokemon was the hard carry for this battle, so make your guess in the comments below. If you guessed Whiscash or Swampert, you would be wrong. Even though both played big supporting roles in this battle, the real superstar is Electabuzz. I lead Electabuzz and Swablu using Rock Smash and Protect respectively. As both Corsola and Giglett see KO on Swablu, they will both target it with their super effective Power Gems. Next turn, I switch in my pre-damaged Whiscash to eat the Power Gems and Drain Punch the Giglett. After that, both of Grant's Pokemon go down, and next up are Armaldo and Cradily. The reason I pre-damaged Whiscash is because that HP amount I set it at allows Armaldo to C-kill with X-Scissor, while also ensuring that it can survive double crit Power Gem after special defense drop. This turn, I use Rock Smash on Cradily to lower its defense and protect on Whiscash. After that, I go back to Swablu and use Electabuzz Drain Punch to finish off Cradily. Tyrantrum comes in and I take it out using a Rock Smash and Drain Punch combination as well, while switching in Krookodile first to get an Intimidate off and then Meganium on the KO. I do this in order to bait Aerodactyl into using Dual Wing Beat on the Meganium slot, and then I can KO with Thunder Punch. To wrap up, I switch in Swampert and Krookodile and clean up Armaldo using the Purr, winning my second gym badge. I now begin my trek to Shalor City, which requires a trip through Reflection Cave first. You may recall how I said that Ace trainers are very difficult to beat in this game. Well, you're about to see it firsthand here, with this trainer right by the exit. Against her, I had to use the classic Rage Powder strategy to win. If that doesn't show you how elaborate my plans got with these Ace trainers, I don't know what will. I lead with Volcarona and Swampert, who baits Grass Knot from Heliolisk and Will-O-Wisp from Sableye, and that allows Volcarona to Wisp Sableye. Next turn, I switch into Swampert for Crobat and Rage Powder Volcarona, who now gets the Flash Fire boost and eats Grass Knot for breakfast. Once Sableye is out of status moves, I bring in Blaziken, who takes out Heliolisk. Dodrio switches in, and in this game, this is a ground flying type with Moxie, so it's actually a pretty strong Pokemon. On top of that, this one holds a Focus Sash, so I need to stall another turn in order for Sharpedo to outspeed it after a speed boost, and they both attack it to KO. Granbull is up, and Crobat is able to tank the Play Rough and retaliate with Cross Poison, while Blaziken finally puts Sableye out of its misery. Now with only Empoleon left, I swapped out Blaziken for my Water Absorb Swampert, who uses 1000 Waves to secure the dub. Before taking on the gym, I go to the Tower of Mastery to meet with the squad and battle my rival to see who gets the Mega Ring. It's worth mentioning that while this battle isn't too difficult, the rival teams will get harder throughout the game, eventually gaining access to different Mega Evolutions and Legendary Pokemon. but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Now it's time for the Shore City Gym. Remember how I talked about how I thought Protean would be a fun ability to use? Well, after using Greninja, I firmly believe it's an elite ability for Nuzlockes. People always talk about how Intimidate and Shell Armor are the best abilities for Nuzlocking, but I'm telling you right now, Protean may be just as good. Let's see it in action. Well, that's enough Protean demonstration for now. Let's move on to the Korrina battle. Her fighting type team has a bunch of super heavy hitters that pack a punch. She leads with Medicham, and my strategy is to use Shadow Sneak on Greninja, as Medicham will be using Cross Jump on this turn, and after I transform into a Ghost type, it will go for a Fate's Flourish, so I use Dark Pulse to counteract that. But Greninja is such a Giga Chad that Medicham flinches from the Pulse. It was also this battle when I realized that the EXP share is busted in Gen 6 and beyond due to how it gives EXP to everybody, enabling you to level up your whole team after taking on the first Pokemon. Why did I not realize this sooner? I'm such a fool. But moving on, Infernape comes in next, and that falls to Greninja's Water Pulse. Against Kangaskhan, I swap the Steelix on the Double Edge, and then go to Gallade on the Hammer Arm, allowing Gallade to KO with Brick Break. Dusknoir is in, so I go back to Steelix on the Shadow Punch, so that Dusknoir takes Rocky Helmet damage. This is necessary in order for Ledian to one-shot with Comet Punch, because Dusknoir holds a red card, and I did not want to subject myself to that RNG. For Donphan, I use Torterra to set up Leech Seed and clean up with Greninja. Last but certainly not least is Lucario, and I use Shadow Sneak first to bait it into using Flash Cannon, which allows for a safe switch to Blaziken, who knocks Lucario out, winning me my third gym badge. Moving along, I make my way to Coumarine City to first battle Caleb, who uses the same team as last time but with the Mega Altaria, and then take on Ramos and his grass types. Remember how I mentioned that Ledian is extremely buffed? Well, it's so good that it makes Ramos look trivial. It single-handedly takes down Ludicolo, Masquerain, and Mega Venusaur, while Sudowoodo, Rotom-Mow, and Arbok lose to Torterra, Blaziken, and Swampert respectively. This was definitely the easiest gym leader so far, and it wasn't particularly close either. But now I have half of the Kalos League gym badges. Entering Clemont Split, I catch a few Pokemon who will make significant contributions to the run. In Azure Bay, I fish up a Finneon, whose line now gains an additional electric type, as well as having buffed special attack and speed. On Route 13, I find a Gabite, and Garchomp is, well, Garchomp. Enough said. Before I can return to Lumiose City, I have to defeat Team Flare in the Kalos Power Plant, where I get a Talonflame. And yes, this Pokemon has Gale Wings before it got nerfed, which proved very helpful in several spots later on. In the Power Plant, I face a couple of challenging battles against the Team Flare admin and scientist. Unlike Vanilla, the admins in this game have names. Admin Felix sports a team that is hard to navigate with a Zapdos and a Mega Gengar. Oleana also has a Legendary and a Mega Evolution with Raikou and Mega Bayonet, which is a Ghost Normal type in this game by the way, making it even better than it normally is. Even though these teams seem very challenging to battle against, which they are, don't get me wrong, the Team Flare admins and scientists get much harder the next time I run into them, so I will cover those battles when we get there. If you are interested in checking out how I beat these two though, feel free to check out my Twitch highlights, linked in the description. Speaking of which, consider following me on Twitch to watch me do my Nuzlocke challenges live. I also stream Pokemon themed game shows if you are into that as well. Thank you very much. Now let's get back to the video. With Team Flare defeated for the time being, we can now return to Lumiose City and take on the gym there. Clemont sports an interesting challenge which requires me to bust out a classic strategy of pre-damaging, like what I did against Grant. I lead with Lantern and Camerupt, the latter of which baits Hydro Pump from the Rotom Wash, and then I chip down the Drifblim using Lantern's Volt Switch, which also breaks its Focus Sash, and Electivire cleans it up. Now I have Electivire and Ledian in. letting its pre-damage to be dead to Thunderbolt if Hydro Pump misses, which it did. So I U-turn into Camera, while Electivire one-shots the Clank. Thundurus is up, and after a turn of stalling, I put in my Swampert on the Camera slot, while Electivire Ice Punches Thundurus. Rotom and Thundurus get cleaned up by these two, leaving just Mega Manectric and Porygon Z. I swap in Snorlax to tank the incoming special attacks, while Electivire uses Sky Uppercut on Porygon Z to exhaust his Chople Berry. At this point, the rest of the battle is history, as both get taken down in a few turns, getting me my 5th gym badge. Right outside of Lumio City and on the way to Lavere City, I have another battle with Clemont. If you recall, earlier I said that the rival battles in this game get more difficult, adding legendary Pokemon and a different Mega Evolution. This time around, he has a Cobalion and a Mega Absol instead of a Mega Altaria. But trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet. After that, I eventually make it to Lavere City to battle Valerie. If you guessed that I used pre-damage strategies against her, you guessed right. I pre-damaged Greninja so that Illumise would see a KO with Moonblast, thus preventing it from setting up a Prankster Tailwind. While Jinx and Illumise are busy attacking Greninja, Lucario Mega Evolves and uses a Bullet Punch on Illumise. The reason why I didn't use Meteor Mash is because I want to take out Illumise the next turn due to Greninja being a normal type at the moment. Now, Greninja uses Shadow Sneak on Jinx. The reason why I didn't use Dark Pulse is twofold. One, Jinx is still targeting Greninja with Aura Sphere, thus allowing the Ninja Frog to take no damage thanks to Protein. 2, Shadow Sneak never KOs even with crit. This is important because now Ninetales is guaranteed to switch in. And by the way, Ninetales in this game is actually a Fire Ghost type. Pretty misleading, I know, because normally hacks make it a Fire Fairy type, and Valerie is a Fairy type specialist too. But anyway, I use Bullet Punch and Dark Pulse to take it out. Jinx will then use Shadow Ball on Greninja, who takes resisted damage now. If I took out Illumise on the first turn, Greninja being a normal type means that Jinx would still target it using Aura Sphere, so I cannot use Dark Pulse without it dying. Additionally, Lucario didn't outspeed Illumise without Mega Evolving, so that's another reason why I could not use Shadow Sneak with Greninja on the first turn. Next up is Diancie, which I use Shadow Sneak to not only turn Greninja back into a Ghost type, but also break Sturdy, so Lucario can Meteor Mash and KO the mythical Pokemon. Cinccino switches in, and Greninja protects as it baits moves from both Jinx and Cinccino, allowing Lucario to one-shot the Chinchilla using Drain Punch. Her last Pokemon is Mega Mawile, who gets blasted by Volcarona after Lucario cleans up Jinx. Following this victory, I have now acquired 3/4 of the Kalos League gym badges. Right after this, I go to the Pokeball Factory, which is being raided by Team Flare. After defeating the Grunts, I take on Admin Fiona and take on the Scientist with Caleb, driving the gang out. On the way to Anistar City, I take a detour to the Frost Cavern, where Team Flare is up to some more sketchy business, and it's up to me to rescue this Abomasnow here. That's exactly what I do by taking down Mabel. Next up is my Frost Cavern encounter, which turns out to be Delibird. You might be thinking, it's a Delibird, dude, this Pokemon is complete trash. Au contraire, my friend, this thing is actually a beast. After solving that crisis, I make it to Anistar City, where Caleb challenges me to yet another battle, and get this, he has a Latias and a Mega Lopunny. After all that, I challenge Olympia for my 7th gym badge. While this wasn't a 3 Pokemon show like Valerie, I only used 4 Pokemon to secure this win. I lead with Electivire and Chandelure, as the former baits out Zen Headbutt from the Metagross, allowing me to switch into Espeon to tank that Zen Headbutt and bounce back Weezing's Toxic Spikes. Espeon KOs Weezing, and Chandelure does the same to Metagross, prompting Olympia to send out Mismagius and Gallade. These two will use Shadow Ball and Night Slash respectively on Espeon, so I bring in Greninja, who's able to eat both of them up, while Chandelure Shadow Balls Mismagius to get rid of its Cassid Berry. It's time to see some more Protean strategies come into play. Greninja's Shadow Sneak takes out Mismagius and neutralizes close combat from Gallade. When Victini comes in, Greninja uses Dark Pulse to shut down Fate's Flourish from Gallade and reduce damage from Victini's Shadow Ball, the same move used to knock it out ironically enough. Mega Alakazam comes in, Greninja protects, Chandelure Shadow Balls the Zam, and Gallade falls the next turn. Just one more badge to go. However, before that, it's time to put a stop to Team Flare's plot to destroy the world and annihilate everybody. First stop is at Lysander's lab in Lumio City, and unlike Vanilla, Gyarados is already able to Mega Evolve, and he has a full team with some very strong Pokemon, obviously. This battle is honestly not too bad, except I did forget that Mega Gyarados has Mold Breaker and thus got past Lantern's Water Absorb. It didn't really make a difference though, as Lantern still lived crit and KO'd either way. While making my way to the basement to stop the ultimate weapon, I battle Aliana again, who more or less uses the same team but switches BHM for Miltank and Raikou for Jirachi. Also this time it's a single battle, not a double battle. She leads with her pesky Whimsicott, which I beat using Talonflame's Brave Bird. This prevents the Cotton Ball from using Prankster Tailwind thanks to the Gale Wings and Talonflame being faster. Flygon is next, and Garchomp can handle it after switching in on the Power Gem. Feraligatr loses to Lapras's Freeze Dry because of its quadruple weakness to it. Electivire beats up Miltank, and I use Greninja for Jirachi. Even though Greninja can't one-shot the Wishmaker, Dark Pulse makes it flinch because Greninja is him. The Smash Bros character also beats the Mega Bayonet. Imagine having your mythical and Mega Evolved Pokemon fall to a Smash character who isn't even top 30 on the tier list. Couldn't be me. After passing by some grunts, I have to defeat Mabel to get the elevator key. Unlike Aliana, her team undergoes many more changes, keeping only Spiritomb and Mega Glalie from the Frost Cavern battle. Her Bronzong gets obliterated by Adaptability Crawdon's knockoff, yet Mega loses to Blaziken. For Donphan, I first switch to Ledian to break Sturdy with U-turn while baiting out Stone Edge, and then Lantern cleans up with Surf. Manaphy falls to Volt switches from Lantern and Galvantula. For Spiritomb, I use Torterra's Leech Seed and then take it out with Crawdon. I do this so that I can bait out Earthquake from Mega Glalie while switching into Torterra, which will prompt Glalie to use Ice Shard. This allows for a safe switch to Mega Blaziken, who destroys the face Pokemon with a close combat. Having acquired the elevator key, I go down to learn more about the Kalos region's backstory and AZ's lore, before making an attempt to stop the ultimate weapon by winning a battle against the last of Team Flare's scientist, Xerosic. His team is, without a doubt, very annoying to deal with, featuring Pokemon like Quick Claw Bastiodon, Hoopa, Mega Sharpedo, and even Ninjask, which is a bug dark type with tinted lens. I lead with Steelix and Whiscash to bait Weezing and Bastiodon to use Will-Wisp and Stealth Rock, and then bounce back those with Espeon. Thanks to Mold Breaker, I can actually hit Weezing with Earthquake and potentially KO Bastiodon if I land a crit, which I didn't, and that's fine. Arcanine comes in and it launches a Choice Band boosted Flare Blitz into Steelix, so I can go into Chandelure and Espeon. Chandelure's Flash Fire procs, and Espeon deflects yet another Stealth Rock. Whiscash takes the Flare Blitz while Chandelure takes out Bastiodon. I gave it a Charty Berry to ensure that Bastiodon wouldn't target it with Stone Edge in case Quick Claw did activate. Now I put Volcarona in, which activates Flash Fire from Arcanine's Flare Blitz, while Shadow Ball destroys Hoopa. Because Arcanine cannot do any more damage, Xerosic switches it out for Sharpedo. Ninjask tries to KO Chandelure with Knockoff, but instead gets KO'd itself by Volcarona. Sharpedo also falls to Scorching Swarm after crunching my Marble Skill pre-burned Milotic, which secures the dub with Muddy Water on Arcanine. Unfortunately, Xerosic launches the ultimate weapon anyway, despite the fact that I chose the correct button. So, now it's off to Geosenge Town. First order of business when arriving there is going up against our good old friend Frankie. By this point, he has a full team, which includes Shaman Sky and Mega Houndoom. But unfortunately for him, Greninja is just too darn good, and takes down his team with a little bit of help from Garchomp. Entering the Team Flare HQ, we go up against Lysandra again, before slowly descending into the room where Xerneas is. But first, I must engage in a series of double battles against the Team Flare admins, which are all quite difficult battles, by the way. First up is Fiona, who has an annoying team which features Quick Claw Amoonguss, Storm Drain Gastrodon, Red Card Forgus, among others. It is times like this where I am thankful for Gale Wings Talonflame, who makes Amoonguss a non-issue. Greninja Grass Knots to Gastrodon, bringing in Gothitelle, which is Dark Psychic in this game, and Porygon 2. What I do here is bring in Galvantula on the left and Krookodile on the right to absorb the incoming Thunderbolt and Psycho Boost. Lucario takes Krookodile's spot, while Galvantula's Bug Buzz knocks out Gothitelle. Forgus is in, and Lucario Mega Evolves and uses Meteor Mash to take it out. It was at this point when I realized I got tricked by the damage calculator. For some reason, with an ability like Download, the calculator calculates damage as if the attacker got the download boost, which frankly makes no sense whatsoever. In this case, the damage calculator showed me that Porygon 2's damage outputs on Delibird assumed that it got the boost from download, even though nothing on the calculator indicated that. You see, With abilities like Intimidate, the calc has a box that you can check to activate it, but nothing for download. This was particularly infuriating because this meant I had to risk a crit on Delibird thanks to something extremely stupid on the calculator. Granted, I got away with it. Still, why does the calc do that? It's actually really dumb, but oh well, never punished. Anyway, we move on to Flu and her rain team, courtesy of Wailord's Drizzle and her other Swift Swim mons. I lead Galvantula and Whiscash, and for the opening turn, I Volt Switch onto Wailord into my Air Balloon Storm Drain Lumineon, who absorbs Electros' Aqua Tail, while Whiscash's Earthquake takes out Wailord and damages Electros, thanks to Mold Breaker. Dragalge is in, and I protect Lumineon to block Electros' Volt Switch and let Whiscash rip off another EQ. Altaria is able to tank a close combat and nullify Draco Meteor, and Whiscash takes out Beartic with a rain-boosted Stab Aqua Tail, following a defense drop from close combat. Lucario comes in on Altaria's slot to eat the incoming Stone Edge and block the Sludge Bomb, and Greninja takes Whiscash's spot. Water Shuriken takes down Armaldo, and Mega Lucario uses Ice Punch on Dragalge. Finally, like Gastrodon, Mega Swampert falls to Grass Knot. Felix is up, and his team is pretty similar to the battle against him in the Kalos Power Plant in terms of Pokemon used, but his Gliscor has Sandstream instead of Poison Heal, and his other Pokemon revolve around that, like Sandrush on Typhlosion and Excadrill. I lead Greninja and Espeon, using Water Shuriken to outspeed and KO Typhlosion. I switch Espeon to Swampert, holding a Mega Stone, in order to tank the knockoff and bait Gliscor into using Stealth Rock the following turn. Both of these mons will guarantee that Go-Go will switch in next. Espeon takes Greninja's spot, and Talonflame Swampert's because it resists the incoming Horn Leash, while bouncing back the Stealth Rock attempt. After Talonflame protects one turn, Go-Go is in range to get KO'd by Brave Bird, and Greninja switches in. This brings in Archeops. The fossil Pokemon wants to attack Talonflame, so I protect and use Ice Beam to take out the Gliscor. Even the Yache Berry it holds cannot save it there, because Greninja is just that guy. With Sandstorm down and Excadrill in, no longer being able to outspeed, I can bring in Lucario for Talonflame and use Water Shuriken to take out the Archeops, thanks to Stealth Rock damage. Gengar is last, and all it can do is Mega Evolve, because Greninja's Dark Pulse one-shots it, and Lucario blasts Excadrill with close combat. Finally, Farron is last, who has a team of pesky Pokemon that can make things go awry if you aren't ready for them, with Speed Boost Scolipede and Focus Sash Omastar not making it any easier. To deal with those, I lead with Lumineon and Lucario so I can Volt Switch into Talonflame and bring in Espeon to bounce back the Stealth Rock, as per usual. Talonflame can protect a turn, as both of Farron's mons will want to target it with their Rock-type moves, giving me a free switch to Lumineon. Talonflame's Gale Wings Brave Bird says who cares to the speed boost and one-shot Scolipede, while Lumineon takes out Lord Helix. Next in are Claw Blitzer and Aurorus, and Talonflame protects while Lumineon's Volt Switch one-shots the Claw, and gets me to switch to Lucario. Protean Kecleon is out, and what I do here is have Lucario Meteor Mash Aurorus and switch in Lumineon because the Gecko wants to Aqua Tail. Now Kecleon is a water type, and I have a boost from Storm Drain, making Thunderbolt an easy one-shot, while Gallade takes Lucario's spot on the Arm Thrust from Mega Heracross. A Fate Splash is enough to knock it out, and now it's time to save Xerneas. After catching the Life Pokemon, Lysandre tries to beat me in order to take back the legendary Pokemon, this time with its own legendary Pokemon as you can see here. I lead Crobat so that it can use U-Turn to break Ferrothorn's Focus Sash, and then Blaziken burns it up. Filter Nidoqueen is next, and I first go to Crobat on the Earth Power, and then Espeon on the Stealth Rock attempt. Espeon 2-shots with Psychic. Yveltal is next, and Mega Sharpedo has just enough speed and attack to KO with Ice Fang, thanks to Stealth Rock. The pesky No Guard Emboar is up, and it first uses Dynamic Punch, so I go into Crobat. Crobat pops its Air Balloon using U-Turn, and I switch into Garchomp, while Emboar charges in with a Head Smash. Garchomp can use Earthquake to easily KO it, and then it uses Dragon Claw on Dragonite. Thanks to Multi-Skill being neutralized by Rock, this is also an easy KO. Last but certainly not least is Gyarados, and I beat this by switching in Meganium on the resisted Wave Crash, who gets a special attack boost as well, thanks to the Absorb Bulb that I gave it. This gives it the boost it needs to KO with Leaf Storm. Disgusted by the fact that he will never have his perfect world, and his plans thwarted for good, the Team Flare boss decides to launch the ultimate weapon anyway, but it ends up backfiring on him, and Team Flare's reign of terror is over, with Lysandre seemingly Dead? Well, that escalated quickly. With Team Flare disbanded, we can now resume our journey. On the trek to Snowbell City, we get a key Pokemon, Unstylements, on Route 18, then stop in Curryway Town to engage in a triple battle with Professor Sycamore, featuring a starter Pokemon from each generation. Nothing too difficult here, except for the fact that his Torterra is holding a Quick Claw and has really good coverage. The way I beat it is by using Talonflame Acrobatics and Lydian Quick Attack, as both have priority and are super effective. Right before Snowbell City, we encounter arguably the hardest battle, or rather battles, in the game. The bridge back to back to back. Here you have to battle Shauna, and then Tierno, and then Trevor, without changing your team, which basically makes this a 6 vs 16. The team I use for this gauntlet is Greninja, Lucario, Garchomp, Qwilfish, Chandelure, and Lantern. Shauna leads with Grumpig, and I use Greninja to take the Confuse Ray. Lucario tanks the incoming Power Gem, prompting the Pig to use Confuse Ray again. I go into Qwilfish to bait Psyshock, and Greninja uses U-Turn to knock it out. I switch to Garchomp to get Shauna to send out Goodra, who gets wrecked by Garchomp, as does Delphox. Sylveon is next, and I use Qwilfish to beat this thing, because it's the only Pokemon I have who can reliably one-shot this Fairy type. Last on her team is Mega Pidgeot, who I PP stall out of Focus Blast for a Lantern to finish it off. Tierno and Trevor run on the bridge next, and Tierno challenges me, but doesn't let me heal my team. What a jerk this guy is. Anyway, his team consists of the same Pokemon as the battle on Route 5, but is fully evolved, including his Mega Ampharos. He leads with Talonflame, which holds a Focus Sash. I use Ice Beam with Greninja first. The reason why I do this is because by turning Greninja into an Ice type, Talonflame will Flare Blitz instead of Brave Bird, meaning Water Shuriken goes first even with Tailwind being active, because that Fire type move does not have increased priority. Rockrig is next, and I eventually take it down with Greninja's Dark Pulse, baiting in Crocodile. I use Qwilfish to knock it out, and at this point I realized I made a pretty big misplay. Hawlucha sees a kill with Brave Bird, meaning I can't switch into Greninja safely, so I had to switch between Lantern and Qwilfish to get Intim drops, while risking crits of course. And then Greninja does eventually clean up. For Crawdaunt, I U-turn, but have to risk losing Qwilfish to crit here. Nice. With that crit dodge, I can switch into a Garchomp, who is able to KO Mega Ampharos. I will say I was not happy with this plan that I set for Tierno, so I redid it and recorded it, and you can check it out in my Twitch highlights as well. Now, time to battle Trevor, who is a nice guy and heals my team before starting. I pivot to Qwilfish first, who one-shots a Forgus and baits out Raichu. Garchomp's Outrage is able to KO the Air Balloon Electric Mouse, who is followed up by Breloom. Chandelure walls off the Mushroom Pokemon with ease and KOs it in one hit. Tentacruel gets slowly brought down, and Chandelure defeats Mega Scizor, finishing this challenging gauntlet on a high note. After making it to Snowbell City, I go on a trek to the Pokemon Village to find Wulfric, and then I can battle him at his gym. His gym has permanent hail, like how Flannery and Juan's gym in Emerald Kaizo feature permanent sun and rain respectively. This means one must be wary of never missing blizzards and abilities like Ice Body and Snow Cloak, which is what the first trainer's Frostless has. I beat it by using my timid 0 attack IB, Weavile's Feint Attack. Yes, even with the lowest possible attack stat, Weavile still KOs. Technician does wonders for sure. As for Wulfric himself, he was unironically the easiest gym leader for me, despite having a Kyurem White and a Mega Abomasnow. But, you know, that Pokemon's still kinda whatever. And that's putting it really nicely. Blaziken swept him, just like how Infernape sweeps Byron in Renegade Platinum. Now that I have 8 badges, it's finally time to head through Victory Road. Victory Road in this game is notoriously long, as there are about 20 Ace Trainers you have to battle, all with meticulously designed teams. In addition, there is also the final rival battle where he sports a team that features not only Landorus Styrian and Mega Audino, but also uses the starter Pokemon that you chose, unlike the usual starter with the type advantage against yours. He leads with Meowstic, as he always does, and I use Crawdaunt's knockoff to take it out. Flareon is up, and I first go to Chandelure on the Superpower, and Greninja on the Crunch before washing it down with Scald. Caleb now sends out Zebstrika, and I U-turn to pop its Air Balloon before Garchomp Earthquakes it. He now puts in Greninja, and I have Water Absorb Poliwrath who can Drain Punch and Mach Punch for the KO. Landorus is next, and because it doesn't see a kill on Poliwrath, it uses Sword Stance, allowing a free switch to Greninja and an Ice Beam to take it out. For Mega Audino, I Leech Seed it with Torterra and it eventually dies. As for the other Ace trainers, it didn't really matter because I still had my timid phone number IV Sableye. Even artist Vincent's Arceus had no chance against this thing. I am now out of Victory Road, meaning the Pokemon League is up. The Elite Four allows for a variety of different strategies to win, and I came up with the following team. Greninja. Protean, as you already know by now, is a great ability, and because its move pool is so diverse, it has a role in every battle. Blaziken. Mostly there because it sweeps Wickstrom under the right circumstances, but is also useful for pivots and to lead against Diantha. Swampert. Water Absorb makes it a great pivot for Seabold, and it helps take out some mons against Drasna, Malva, and Diantha too. Steelix. Mostly just here for Stealth Rocks and pivoting, thanks to its great physical bulk and steel typing. Salamence. It's an Intimidate Pokemon, it's really strong and really powerful, especially when you Mega Evolve it, and it does a lot of work against Drasna in particular. Garchomp, the Malva Sweeper, as it takes out 5 of her 6 Pokemon. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot that you got to follow along on this journey with me, and I appreciate every single one of you here. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing as I will be uploading more Nuzlocke content as well as other Pokemon related videos. Also, follow me on Twitch to watch me do my Nuzlocke challenges live. I'll let the live commentary take over now so you can listen in on the tension of the Elite Four and Champion. Now, let's go enter the Hall of Fame. Okay. So she leads with Dragalge. We set up Stealth Rock. It's gonna Hydro Pump us, but we have Sturdy, so we never die here. This Stealth Rock is the key win condition for this battle in particular. And I'll go over why that's the case in a bit. Now we switch into Swampert on the next move here. This should be Hydro Pump. And Swampert has Water Absorb, so this basically does nothing to us. Oh. And then we have Choice Band Earthquake, which just one-shots this. Yeah, Superior End, this should always be Energy Ball, because it sees kill. So you go into Blaziken. Yep, Energy Ball. And now this should be Earth Power. We go into Mens. Okay, perfect. And then now we Mega Evolve and Protect, because we don't outspeed this Superior, despite being an actual max speed Salamence. So we have to protect the first turn in order to get the speed advantage. Right, and now we're faster and we KO. Kingdra in this game, at least this Kingdra has multi-skill, that's why we needed the Stealth Rock there. And similarly, the Superior we just took out, that was holding a Focus Sash, so the Stealth Rock breaks that as well. Okay, Dragon Claw frags this too. And finally, yeah, well not the last one, it's the second last one. So because Altaria doesn't see KO here, it's gonna D-Dance. We go into Greninja. Greninja's holding a Focus Sash, so we'll never die this turn. But we Sludge Wave to take it down. We're not expected to KO this, only crit will KO. But because we have a priority move in Water Shuriken and the Water Shuriken and Sludge Wave combo actually perfectly KOs this thing after Stealth Rock. Crit there didn't matter, we were gonna get rid of it no matter what. And finally we have Mence, which Ice Beam just one-shots. And that's Dresna. This is Wickstrom, Steel-type trainer, in case you guys don't remember your Gen 6. Okay, so he leads Kokogrigus, and we lead Greninja. Okay, so we start off by setting spikes. Yeah, it's gonna Will-Wisp me. That's why I put the Rindo Berry on, so it wouldn't go for the Energy Ball. And then what we do next is we go to Mence. Because AI in this game sees if you're holding a damage resist berry. And therefore, if I wasn't holding one, then it would have gone for the Energy Ball. But because I was holding one, it did. Okay. Now we go to Blaziken. Because you can't burn me, I'm a fire type. Get owned. Mega Evolve, Flare Blitz. And now it's now the rest of this battle is the Blaziken sweep. I'm not kidding when I say that, by the way. The rest of this battle is legitimately a Blaziken sweep. Pretty much the main reason why I brought Blaziken into the Elite Four in the first place, to be honest. You might be thinking, this thing has Sand Rush. You're probably slower, aren't you? Well, actually, I got 2 boosts from Speed Boost already, so I'm faster. But even if I wasn't faster, I still have Detect, so... And then this thing just dies to Blaze Kick. Close combat once again. Crit there didn't matter. We just close combat you two. Crit there also didn't matter. Getting all these crits when I don't need them. Metagross in. This is a Mega Metagross. And you guys might remember why that I used spikes at the beginning with Greninja. And the reason why is because that's the only way to guarantee that Flare Blitz one-shots the Mega Metagross. Without spikes, it becomes a range to kill, and not a great one at that. And that's Wickstrom. Moderators, can we sell the prediction? Wow, she's very concise and straight to the point. I like it. So she leads Rotom Heat. I lead with Swampert. So we Rock Slide this. And the reason why we Rock Slide this is because Scald can sometimes KO with crit, which we don't want to do. Whereas Aqua Jet does not quite do quite enough damage up to this thing due to the fact that it has leftovers. Now it's gonna Will-Wisp again. There's a bit of a lower range that I would have liked, but... So yeah, it Will-Wisp now, and now it sees kill with Volt Switch. So it should want a Volt Switch. And now we Mega Evolve and Rock Climb, which should always KO. Thanks to the Rock Slide that we put out earlier. This Mega Garchomp is gonna claim Hollow Lives against Malva. EQ you. The way we beat this is going to be Earthquake, so we first switch to Salamence. And now this is going to be Heat Crash. And now we Grass Knot this. And then we U-turn, break the air balloon, or pop the air balloon, sorry. It should be Flare Blitz, because it sees me as a grass type thanks to Protean. Go to Swampert. By having Swampert in, we bait out Cut from this thing. And then we go back to Garchomp, and as they say, the rest is history. But there also didn't matter. Which also dies to Earthquake. Now, because AI is dumb, it always Mega Evolves first turn, and that's why I can just Earthquake this thing, because this is going to Mega Evolve into a Mega Charizard X, which always dies to my Earthquake. And that's Melba. Alright. Pretty easy battle there. Mods, please sell the prediction, set up the next one. I gotta take a call real quick. It's not about to disappear right away. So he leads Politoed, which in this game is a Water Fairy type. Sets up Drizzle. And we just Sludge Wave because Sludge Wave one-shots. Next up is Swampert. This wants to use Earthquake because it sees me as a poison type. Go to Salamence. We get an Intim too by doing this, which is a nice bonus. And now this should be Ice Punch. Go into Steelix. Just because Steelix can take hits better than Blaziken can. And if Steelix gets frozen, it's like not a big deal. Plus the Rocky Helmet chip is like really nice. Now this should be Waterfall. Go into our own Water Absorb Swampert. So Swampert in this game, if it's not Mega Evolved, it can have either one of two abilities. It can either be Water Absorb or Sheer Force. This Swampert is Sheer Force, so we can actually Waterfall here. Again, it Earthquakes. So now there should be Earthquake again, so we do one more set of pivoting. Get another Intim too while we're at it. And now the rain is out. Now it's Ludicolo. This should be Giga Drain. Go into Immense. And then we one-shot with Dual Wing Beat. Kyogre is in. This is gonna Ice Beam. This is the moment of truth. Here is the moment of truth. The plan here is to switch into Greninja, because Greninja with Choice Specs can KO with Grass Knot. But if it freezes me, then we're not entirely screwed. There is a way to get around it. It will just take a much longer time than if Greninja could just come in and attack. And so we'll see. Alright, Greninja, if you're the GOAT, you don't get frozen here. But if you get frozen here, you're still kind of the GOAT, just because you've been a pretty integral part of this run. Like, no cap. Okay, no freeze, easy. And Grass Knot with Choice Specs KOs. Okay, now it's for Alligator. This wants to Dragon Claw me, I'm pretty sure. Let me just quickly double check that. We switch to Steelix. This thing's holding a Focus Sash, so we want Steelix in so that it can take damage from Rocky Helmet. We Dragon Claw for the kill. This is Mega Blastoise, which, by the way, it's a Steel type. So we go into Swampert. This is gonna Steel Beam me. And you take a buttload of recoil damage. Now this will be either Aura Sphere or Dark Pulse. Doesn't really matter, we just Mega Evolve and KO with Earthquake. And that's seeable. Alright, 4 down, just 1 more to go. Can I also say that Diantha's theme is insanely good? Wouldn't you agree, buddy? Okay. So we lead Blaziken and Salamence. The reason why Salamence is not at full HP is because it allows me to be dead to Moonblast from Klefki. The Mega Evolve, protect turn 1 on both of these mons. And we need Protect on both of these because we don't know if Keldeo will go for Blaziken or if it will go for Salamence. Okay, we Flare Blitz the Klefki and then return on Keldeo. Alright, Keldeo is down. Incoming should be Rotom Fan and Entei. So the reason why I attached a Pyapa Berry to Blaziken is so that way Entei doesn't go for Zen Headbutt on Blaziken and will instead Stone Edge the Salamence slot. But Rotom will always be using Air Slash on Blaziken. This is where we go ahead and say goodbye to Blaziken. Get your 07s and salutes in the chat, please. Because Blaziken has been an amazing warrior for us, to say the least. Unless we flinch both of them, then maybe we live to see another day. But for now, thanks Blaziken for all that you've done. You really made Wulfric and Wickstrom free, so that is a pretty significant accomplishment in itself. Oh, Rotom flinched, okay. I guess we do live to see another day. But we'll just set up rocks now. Okay, now I was actually not quite expecting that. If we flinch here, then it'll be kind of annoying, but it's fine. Thanks, Blaziken, for all that you've done. You really made a few of the key boss fights in this game super free, and that is no small feat. See you on the other side. Greninja in. We're also sacking Steelix here, by the way. Ice Beam the Rotom. And then it doesn't really matter what you go for here. They're still dead, I'm pretty sure. Actually, you might not be, but Any case. Okay, buddy, chill out. I know you're excited. But this here says it's Diancie, but it's not. This is Zoroark. We U-turn, this one-shots, and then we just heavy slam this, I guess, but you're still dead. Do I have the Jesus emote enabled? Because if so, we should get Jesuses in the chat. Don't you think? Don't you agree, Budge? And now Steelix is gone. See ya, Steelix. You didn't really do much besides some pivoting stuff and setting up rocks, but that was an important role nonetheless. Now this is the real Diancie. We can Iron Head the Diancie and Aqua Jet the Entei. Diancie should die here because it's 4 times weak to Iron Head. And that's Ancestral X Hardcore Nuzlocke completed. And another one for the books. And that is the story of how I beat the hardest Generation 6 Nuzlocke. I had a great time playing this game, and would strongly recommend it for anybody who's itching to play a 3DS ROM hack. The challenging battles that required me to plan for hours, as well as the changes which allowed me to use Pokemon I normally wouldn't, make for a great experience, and of course, shout out to Axyn for making this incredible game. Anyway, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. In the comments, let me know what you think of this game, who is the MVP of the run, and what games would you like me to see play in the future. And with that, I'm out. See you guys next time.